Hi, I'm Mark, and if you've watched my channel, especially the Thirsty Thursday videos, you may have seen me giving out these Tiki coasters. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your own. Now, I start with a blank. I get my blanks at Hobby Lobby, and the only other thing that I use are some Sharpie markers. So let's see how this all comes together. So I'm going to start by sketching this out. Now, one of the drawbacks about working on cork is that a pencil sketch really doesn't show up. So there's very little room for error. Whatever mistakes I make, they're going to stay there. So I'm using a real thin fine line Sharpie just to sketch things out. These have to be symmetrical, because Tiki images are usually very symmetrical. You can see I've already gone a little out of symmetry on the right hand side, but that's okay. I'll be able to make up for that a little later. When I add the thickness of the lines, I can compensate for that. So here I'm sketching out the base. So the basis is really just like a cylinder with a top band and a bottom band. They're not all like this, but it's an easy way to make a Tiki. So what I'm doing now, that top band is going to be the crown. And now I'm going to start sketching out the mouth. And the shape of these is really largely irrelevant. Typically the mouths are open in a smile or a grimace, so you can add teeth a little later. You want to add some thickness to lips. But all of this right now is just my sketch. So there it's starting to come together. Now I'm going to put in the eye sockets, and that's going to blend right down into the nose. This is kind of going to be a nose sort of like the old Kilroy was here from the 1940s. The more symmetrical you can make it, the better. They don't all have to look like this, of course. They can all be different. Some can be more angular, some can be more round. Now I'm adding the nostrils off to either side. And now the eyes. The eyes can be all kinds of different shapes. I'm going to go with the almond shape, kind of tilting outward. You can make them tilt down. You can make them go straight across. They can be more oval, whatever shape you want. And I really don't know if the different Tiki images mean anything in the culture. All I know is when we use it in Tiki bars and the things we see, they're really for fun. And so we have a lot of freedom and a lot of latitude as to what we draw in there. Now I'm adding some thickness to the lips. And then I'm going to connect that line to the base. And it's really starting to look like something. So I'm going to add feathers to the crown. I'm going to start with one right in the center and then just scallop feathers down to the edge, getting smaller as I go. And like I said, there's not a lot of room for error, but there's a little bit, because as we add thicker lines, you can go to the outside of those little lines I drew. You can go to the inside. You can go right in the middle. So you can make adjustments to the thickness and gain a little symmetry back. The world isn't perfect. Our drawings don't have to be perfect either. But if we can come close, they look really good. And another thing about Sharpies on cork, so far I've gotten these really wet over and over and over, and they never run, and they really haven't faded. So these are pretty nice to use for coasters. They're just not for decoration. And you can see everything I do on one side, I'm doing on the other side. That's how I maintain that symmetry. So now we're going to put the nostrils in. And add the cheeks. Now the cheeks could come out You can make them almost go out to points like arrows. You can do all kinds of things. All the shape is completely up to you. And of course, you can add a tiki body as well. So far on my coasters, I've just been doing the tiki faces, the heads. They look pretty good. So I'm going to add the lips. We try to make these relatively uniform. We're going to be adding teeth to that a little later. But I'm going to create a center line in order to connect with the base. You don't need a base. You could make a chin down there if you'd like. I'm going to make the base, and then you can do all kinds of decorations to the base too. I don't think I will in this one, but you can put dots, triangles, hash marks. You can put rectangles, just about anything you want. And I'm jumping around just a little bit. I want to get the basic shape done before I start adding details. He's a little crooked. He's a little smashed on the right side, but that's okay. Once we start adding detail, it won't be that apparent. Now I'm going to put some rectangular patterns in the base of the crown. We can add things to that if you want. Like I said, you could add triangles, you could add dots in there. That always adds something, a little flavor. We'll see, I might shade it. We'll see, I might shade it or something later. Let's go for some pupils. Any shape you want. They can be oval, they can be round, they can be the iris with a pupil inside, whatever you want. Now for the teeth, I'm going to draw vertical lines, and then we'll come right across the center to make a row of top teeth and bottom teeth. You don't have to do that. I'm choosing to. And after I get that across, I'm going to shape and round the teeth just a little bit. Could have made that a wide open mouth with no teeth. You could have made it kind of goofy with just a couple of teeth, like you got some teeth knocked out. I kind of like the look of this. Let's add some triangles to the base. The one thing you do want to do is try to keep it uniform. So I put a center and then two on the right. So I'm going to do two on the left, just so we keep some consistency and a little bit of symmetry in this. Okay, what can I do in that area? It looks a little empty. So I'm just going to do a little pattern coming down. Gives him a little angry look to his forehead. And then I'm going to just shade it in a little bit across that forehead. Just give it a little bit of shadow. Kind of makes the eyes pop if you have a little depth underneath them. I might do that under the chin as well, just to make it pop a little. So the bags under the eyes, we're going to also add some shading to that. Looking pretty good. Now a lot of tikis are carved out of wood, so I might just add a little wood splinters later. We'll see. That might be enough. What about that bottom? Let's add some shading. Just give it a little bit of variety. Add a little bit of texture down there. There, that adds some balance. Now we have a little bit of shading across the center with the eyes, across the bottom. Maybe we can add a little hash mark or some shading up to the top a little bit. We'll see. But first I want to add a cup. I think I'll put a coconut, make a cup out of a coconut. We're going to lose a lot of detail on this, but that's okay. You'll get the idea of it. It's just supposed to suggest a cup. It doesn't have to have a whole lot of detail here. I'm going to add some thickness to it. I think if we would have a real fine line coconut, it would look kind of funny. So I'm going to sketch it out first, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to add a little bit of thickness. I'm just going to add scallops. That's going to be a drink umbrella. And then we want to create some of those creases to make it look like an umbrella. There we go, it's not bad. We'll add the rim around the top of that coconut. That may disappear when I add thickness. It looks pretty good now though. We'll add the straw. So I'm just tracing over my lines now, making them a little thicker. I don't want them to disappear. I think I'll leave the creases as is. There we go, it's not bad. A little shading on the side maybe. Just a few horizontal lines, that's all it takes. Add a little shading to the straw. And let's make a little bit of light reflection down there. That looks pretty good. Now the other side looks empty. So let's do something over there. I think I'll just make some kind of a leaf, a palm leaf. Doesn't have to be a real looking leaf, just something. This is going to be kind of a cross between a leaf and a feather. I'm going to create the basic shape first, and then I'm going to break it down into 2 or 3 segments to make it look more like a leaf. And we'll make it similar on the other side. There we go, that's not too bad. We'll thicken that up, add a little shading. We're getting close to being done. Now notice I'm just doing the outside of the leaf, so I'm following a nice outline shadow, or outline shape. And then I'm going to come up with the separators or the splits to make it look like little sections of those leaves. I don't know if they're real leaves that look like that, but they're kind of indicative of the kind of things we see down here in southern Florida and in tropical areas. I'm going to add a little bit of shading, I think, to that. Since I shaded the coconut on that side, I'm going to add most of my shading on the leaf of that side too. And just emphasize that center stem, that vein down the center. That looks pretty good. Let's keep up with that shading, do a little of that in the ridges or feathers or whatever you want to call that up in the top. I'm going to do every other one so we can have a little bit of a pattern there too. And let's emphasize that center rectangle just by putting a triangle in there. I think that looks good. Now there's a little space down there in the lower right. I could add another leaf or something, but you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I will save that area for my signature. So I try to make my signature so it's a little identifiable. And I used to do a little bit of cartooning way back in the day. And I used to pretty much sign my name this way. It was actually a variation of an artist I used to respect, and he used to do his name kind of similar, and I liked the style. So there we go. We are done, and this coaster is now going to be sent out to one of my patrons, one of the people that sponsor me on Patreon. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. As always, I encourage you to like and share the video. Leave your comments down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe by clicking my face in the corner. And don't forget to ring that bell icon. That way you'll know when I post new videos. Thanks again, I'm Mark, and this is the Average Me Channel.